With bulls taking charge of the Lal Street and Sensex back at 60,000 levels, the time is right to remember the eternal bull of the Indian stock market, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. Let me welcome in our global business editor, Udayan Mukherjee, who has spent a considerable amount of time over the years in conversation with the big bull himself. Always known for his witty anecdotes, Udayan, let me test your memory on this and see which are the ones that are most prominent in your mind.
You know, I can go on talking for hours about Rakesh's funny stories, but you know, let me start with one saucy one for you. But you know, this was around his 50th birthday when actually he had started hobnobbing with a lot of Bollywood heroines. So he'd come to, we met shortly after a meeting that he had with Priyanka Chopra. So when I met him, I said, Rakesh, I see that you've become quite the ladies' man. I know these days, Priyanka Chopra and all. I mean, is she your favorite Bollywood heroine now, or what? You know, he just, without batting an eyelid, he looked at me and said, no, Udayan, I actually love Rekha. So, you know, for a moment I was thrown. And I thought it was the Rekha, the Bollywood heroine, you know, Amitabh Bachchan Rekha. But actually he was talking about his wife Rekha. And I burst out laughing because it was such a clever thing to say that I love Rekha and not Priyanka Chopra. And he just looked at me and said, hey, young man, don't you go around trying those tricks with me. You know? Don't teach your grandmother how to suck eggs, as they say in England. So he stumped me with that one, the Rekha versus Priyanka Chopra. Well, there are so many more, you know. But the time when I asked him about why you trade so often and you're such a successful investor, why do you spend so much time trading? And again, he said, you know, Udayan, investing is like sipping wine slowly, and trading is like downing tequila shots. Both of us know which is good for health, the wine, but both of us also know which is more thrilling, the tequila, right? Which is the trading. So, I mean, he could reel off these things just one after the other. I mean, and I mean, this is a great one. I mean, you know, his one pet theme, as you will remember too, is that retail investors will finally come to Indian equities, and they will invest their money there, and they will become the driving force of the Indian stock market rather than FIIs. And now it is playing out in front of our eyes over the last couple of years, what he said. But you know, back in the day, and he would say this 10 years ago, and sometimes I would rip him saying, Rakesh, what happened to retail? He said, they will come, Udayan, they will come. And then there's this Hindi line he's used to say that why they would come. And I remember this. He said, Jalta hua cigarette koi nahi chhod sakta. When the market gets hot, they will all come. Jalta hua cigarette koi nahi chhod sakta. So, you know, he was one of a kind. I mean, these kind of stories, how can one forget?
Now, about his temper, because we can't not talk about that. I mean, I know, talking about being a novice, I've had the experience of having a few expletives on the phone slammed down on me. But, you know, you must have several examples of that, and give us an insight. And, you know, what caused it? Was it just when he was really busy, you know, with the markets and during those hours, or were there other things that would also tip him off?
No. Rakesh was a very opinionated man, as you know. I mean, he had an opinion about everything, from Rahul Gandhi to Donald Trump. You could talk to him about anybody, and never a mild conversation. I mean, he would be spewing a betel nut out of his mouth and foaming, and that is how he was, as you well know. I mean, I was at the receiving end of it once. I mean, this is hearsay. I did not see it in front of my eyes, but apparently the market had collapsed one day, and he was watching me on television, and he was very angry and upset because of the way maybe the market was limit down that day. And I heard later, a lot of people told me this story, that he picked up a heavy paperweight and flung it at the plasma screen and shattered the television set where I was speaking. So that was directed at me. I mean, this is hearsay, but I think it was true, this story. So, I mean, this is how angry he could get at times. And there was this time when this whole Ratan Tata, and the Tata group was his temple. I mean, he really worshipped that group. So, you know, there was this Cyrus Mistry versus Ratan Tata spat going on at that point in its full bloom. And I walked in to find Rakesh talking about Cyrus Mistry, and I cannot tell you the kind of adjectives that he was using. He was so angry. If Cyrus had walked into that room, then I fear to think what may have happened. He was so angry. You know, there were other times. I mean, there was Donald Trump once, and I was saying, you know, Rakesh, Donald Trump might win the election. And he was foaming in the mouth, and he said, there is no way any American man or woman who has a daughter who could ever go out and vote for that man. And he was proved to be wrong. But there were several times I've seen him like so livid. But the good thing about him, Abha, was that he would cool down as quickly as his temper had risen. So he would be very angry, and within minutes he would have forgotten all about it. So, and maybe even said sorry or patted the object of his anger on the shoulder and moved on. So he blow hot, blow cold kind of guy.